kind of explain the format. It's going to, because there's about a half an hour, and so what we're going to do is have each answer be just 2 minutes. And we'll start at this end of the table, and it'll be the same question for all 4 of you. And then the second question will be the second person on the dais, and so forth and so on. The first question is, what are your major concerns about development in Chatham County? And you can stay at the table, there are microphones there. Diane, oh, sorry.
Okay, let's move this in. The question is major concerns with development. My largest concern is frankly water and our infrastructure. Both of our towns have infrastructure backlog in terms of improvements that must be made. So in the case of Siler City, it's the Rocky River. I happen to live on the Rocky River, but that is their primary source of water. And out here in the eastern part, it's of course being served by Jordan Lake. So for me, the water and as Jim was saying earlier, infrastructure, you don't cut ribbons, but infrastructure is essential. And so we have some very large lifts in front of us, and that includes the town of Goldston, Siler City, and Pittsboro in terms of how will the county assist. The county has added $750,000 towards Siler City's wastewater treatment plant renewal. That whole project, the price I heard is about $20 million. So these are very large ticket items, and it also includes, we're looking at a new water intake on Jordan Lake, which will be regional and will involve Owasso, Cary, Durham, and Raleigh. We don't know yet, but perhaps. But in any case, just building a new water treatment plant is a gigantic investment, way over $150 million. And what we also need to look at is the treatment of that water, because Jordan Lake is very polluted, but it is a source of water for, the last number I heard is about 400,000 individuals.
Thank you. Obviously, infrastructure is a big issue, and I'm not going to rehash what you just heard, because I think we're on the same page with that. But what you heard was the tremendous dollar figures that all of that takes. And regional partnerships obviously play a big role. That has been started many years ago and continues, and I'm happy to see that we've got continuity there with past commissioners and current commissioners making sure that those kind of partnerships are in place. But that still leaves a very large price tag. And that's where I'm going to keep coming back to, because it's going to come from somewhere. We have to have the services, we have to have the infrastructure. And with the growth that we have, it is definitely being outpaced on the residential side, as I said, and we're out of balance with our commercial tax base. And then we've all sat up here and we talked about how we want jobs in the county. But it can't just be talk. There are lots of things that go into place and lots of votes that happen in order to make a mega site. And I know Jim mentioned our mega site out in Siler City. For years we worked on that to get it certified by the state so that it could be in place and ready to go to help attract a major manufacturer. And our goal was, and my goal still is to get an auto manufacturer there, something like a Toyota. But when the rubber hits the road and the votes come about, some uncomfortable votes have to be taken. Like, do we approve an option to buy the land? Now, fortunately, that happened, and as Jim correctly outlined, because of his vote, we were able to make that happen and we're in place. Unfortunately, my opponent voted against that. So it takes courage to be able to do those types of things and not just make a political point. So I say we've got to take those steps that are uncomfortable to make the success happen, to change that balance between residential and commercial. Thank you.
Well, I would just mimic what Brian said, but we do have a huge responsibility for future growth. I think it's already been said enough tonight, and I won't expand on that too much. But I was asked to run and work with EDC and Planning Board, and hopefully we could work with the state as well and get some incentives for for business to come to the mega sites. They've been far empty far too long, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but we have to entice people to want to come to Chatham County. And I think you've heard tonight our motives and our intentions there, and I think another thing that has to be addressed, we have to make sure we have the emergency, the fire, and all that in place as well. So that's another cost that's coming our way. And so I would address those as well. And that's about all I can say to that.
Is this okay? Okay. I think the question is what's the most important element of growth, my biggest concern, and it's affordable housing. We are doing a great job in Chatham County building houses that are over $300,000 to purchase. But somebody who's making under $50,000, especially if that's the entire family budget, is going to have a hard time securing a mortgage to buy that kind of house. And so what we are trying to do, and what we've been doing as a board for the past 4 years, is to pursue many different options on affordable housing. In particular, we are able to use county property. For example, the Henry Seiler School in Siler City, an old elementary school, is going to be converted into affordable housing for senior citizens, but also young families as well. And it's very well located in the center of town. And that would not have been possible if we did not, A, the county hand over the property for the development, and B, something called a community development block grant came to our county based on an application process. The project had to be fleshed out, and we were a player, and so that helped. And that's exactly the kind of thing that last year President Trump zeroed out in his budget. He didn't cut it. He put a budget up to Congress to zero it out. Luckily, better heads prevailed in the Republican Party, and that money was restored so that places like Chatham can meet this need dead on. My opponent, Diana's opponent mentioned that she did in fact voted against the option, but that was the first time around. Because of her opposition, we were actually able to negotiate a better form and an extension on the option where we did have a unanimous vote. And so even though she did oppose that, I believe in the long run her opposition helped us get a better policy and a better deal with the county, and opened the door for an option that we have on the Moncure site where we've paid $1 to secure the option and get that $4 million back. So I just wanted the record to show that even though she did vote in opposition, she had good reason, and I think the purpose was borne out.